6 weeks ago, I started an aggressive fat loss phase. I had 8 weeks to get in shape for a photo shoot prep. I started at 93 kilos and this morning I woke up and I was at 89.8 kilos. That's 3.1 kilos down in 6 weeks of consistent training, nutrition, steps. I've not missed a single week. And I want to be honest about what 6 weeks of aggressive fat loss actually does to your body. Because everyone says they want to get lean fast and everyone says that they're willing to do whatever it takes to do that. But not a lot of people actually know what that feels like when they're inside that phase. And let me tell you, it is getting tough. I'm feeling like I'm floating when I'm walking. I'm spaced out. I'm having 8 hours sleep in bed, getting up in the morning and feeling like I just want to crawl back into bed again. My training performance is dropping. My body is fighting me every day just to stop. But I'm still here, I'm still showing up, and I'm still ticking every single box that is needed. This is the reality of going into aggressive fat loss. And by the end of this video, I'm going to show you what is exactly happening to my body, why it is happening, and what I am doing to push through it to make sure that my aggressive fat loss is hit. And you can then take away the stuff and the mindset that I'm using to help with your own cut. Starting today, how we start every day, can of caffeine in the hands. We've got the Strawberry Million C4 today. Not sure it quite beats White Monster, but it is what it is. And we're off now to go and get 40 minutes of cardio done. Just getting warmed up now before we go and hit some cardio, just loosening the legs up. Do a quick 10-minute steps. Energy levels are really starting to take a bit of a hit this week. And all those things that you're feeling when you are pushing to get very lean, it's very normal. Your body's trying to slow you down essentially. So feeling spaced out, feeling like I'm floating, having 8 hours sleep, and then just not feeling like I've been well rested at all. These are all things that come when your body's starting to fight back against you. The way I always want to compare it is back to the caveman times, okay? Essentially, my body thinks I'm in famine, okay? 6 weeks, not a lot of food, in a deficit consistently. So what's it going to try and do? It's going to try and keep me alive. It's going to try and preserve my energy. How does it do that? Well, if it can't make me eat more food, it's going to try and make me stop burning and expending as many calories in a day by dropping my energy levels, by dropping my motivation and my drive to carry on pushing. And this is where it really becomes a battle up here. Because physically, I know I'm going to be able to do all this stuff. Physically, if someone had a gun to my head, I could get on the cardio machine and do 40 minutes cardio. I can go and finish 2,000 steps. But that's where people let this get in the way. And they let how they're feeling in the moment detract away from what their goals are and what boxes they need to tick. And that's where building that mental resilience is so fucking important. But it isn't just slowing down your energy. It's also increasing things like your cravings, increasing you to want to eat more food, having an underlying tone of hunger throughout the day. This is all just your body fighting back, and this isn't a problem. This is where people can actually see it as a bit of a problem. This is just a sign that what you're doing is working, and it's to be expected when you get into an aggressive fat loss block. Obviously, if I was taking this at a slower rate, I gave myself double the amount of time, then I'd be able to have more refeeds, or I'd be on a higher calorie set point to start off with. But my goal, 8 weeks, get in, get out, get back to maintenance, get into a gaining phase and make more physique progression across the course of the year. So I want you to think about rate of loss like a scale. There's a higher end and there's a lower end. And the higher end you are up that scale, the more sacrifice, but you get it done quicker. The lower end, the longer it's going to take, but it will feel that bit easier because you have less to lose in a week-to-week basis. That is for you to decide where you fall. I'm always an advocate of going up the higher end, getting in and out of fat loss and getting the job done. And that's what my Ignite program is built around, which is my 8-week rapid fat loss program, B12 My Framework. The same things I'm actually applying on this cut now, and you can see it's working. But that's enough talking for me on this treadmill. It's time for me to go and get on with my cardio. I'm gonna get 40 minutes from there boxed off.
Back too close, you ain't even know me. Trust my brothers from way back from the north. Whiskey and Dior, spend it like they owe me. Gotta stay select, don't come around to me, better come correct.
Just dropped the missus off to her Botox appointment, so I am on boyfriend duty, sitting in the car waiting for her. We've got a bit of time, just sitting there reminiscing really about the mindset that you need to have and where I'm at the minute. And there's a lot of internal voices that are creeping in, and this has come probably the last couple of weeks that things have started to get a little bit more tough. And those voices aren't good voices. They're voices that are telling me to slow down. They're telling me just to skip the steps. It won't matter for today, or to sack off that last bit of cardio for the week, or to even just add a little bit more food when I'm having my meals. If you put in a little bit more rice, just leave it in there, it won't matter. But it's all those little things that really do add up, and the further you get into a cut, the more your mind is going to try and play tricks in you. And this is especially important if you're surrounded in an environment where people just don't understand what you're doing, and it's where literally just your voice and your coach's voice are the only fucking things that matter, because people are going to sit there, they're going to gas you up, they're going to tell you look sick, but none of it matters if people don't understand what you're doing. But for me, the technique that I use, and I use this literally from day one, I think about how I want to look come that photo shoot, how I want to look on that day when I get those photos back. What do I want to see? Do I want to be proud of the work I've done? Or do I want to look at my physique and think, oh, you could have had more condition, or you lost a bit of size? Any of that sort of stuff. And I would not be able to live with myself knowing on that shoot day that there was more I could have done, because I let those voices win. And if you look at your day, you've probably got 5-10 situations across the course of a day which all seem really insignificant, and in isolation, like, any of them are completely insignificant. But let's say you take the lower end of that range, you've got 5 decisions to make over the course of a day that is a yes or no. You could have made the right one, you could have made the wrong one, and you take the wrong one. That's 5 in a day, that's 35 in a week. And the way I always envisage this is, come shoot day, if I look back at those photos and know there was 150 decisions or more that could have put me in a better place, and I chose to not make that, I wouldn't be able to live with myself. And that is where I really tell people just to focus on the 24 hours in front of you, because it's so easy when you've got still a decent amount of time in front of you left. I'm 4 weeks out, I've got 3 weeks left of fat loss, to start to let that play in your fucking mind and like overthink every little thing. But the 24-hour rule is so important, because you can't control anything outside of the 24 hours. Okay, you might be able to do a bit more prep for what's in front of you, but you can only control literally the decisions you're making at the minute. So if you just focus on that bit of time, making the best decisions and getting to the end of every day and thinking, could I have done any more to drive my progress forward, my fat loss forward? And if the answer is no, then you've done fucking well. If the answer is yes, that is the gap that you really need to attack, because that will add up quickly. And this is why I love having a photo shoot, because it gives you a backstop. When you don't have urgency, when you don't have a backstop when you're dieting, it's so easy just to let things roll through. Okay, oh, this one time, it doesn't matter. I can just push another week on, and you push another week on, and you push another week on. And by the end of that, you've made nowhere near as much progress as you could. You expect to still have made as much progress as you should, because that's how we work. And dieting fatigue, even if you haven't been dieting properly, you're still going to feel like you've been dieting for an extended period of time, and you can just burn out of a diet. This is why aggressive fat loss wins every fucking time for me. Now, I'm not saying everyone go and put a photo shoot in their calendar, but certainly having an end date and a date where you're going to finish your fat loss is so important. It creates that real sense of urgency and that real pressure that is going to test your identity. If you're having to level yourself up to a level you've not had to hit before, and you've not had that sort of urgency and time pressure on you, of course it's going to feel uncomfortable. But that's where the real growth happens, and that's where your progress will happen massively. Okay, having a coach there makes it a lot fucking easier. Of course, they give you 75-80% of external accountability. You've got your check-ins, they're holding you to a standard, but you've also got to have that level of internal accountability, because your coach isn't there to hold your hand. They're not going to be there every step of the way, see what you're eating, see what you're skipping. You can still report to them fine. So having that level of internal accountability is also so important, and having that standard for yourself that you want to hit. Look at where you want to be come the end of your diet, at the end of your fat loss phase, whether it's a photo shoot, a bodybuilding competition, just look sick on a lads holiday to Ibiza. Once you've got that end date and once you've got that standard you want to hit, you can use that to build back what your habit, your routine, your structure needs to look like. And focusing on the next 24 hours, what can you do to put yourself in the best position, win those little battles. And they may seem insignificant, they may seem like it doesn't matter, but those 1% add up massively and they compound. And that is the difference between who you are and who you could have been. Make sure you win those decisions. Fresh trim acquired, and we are off to the mall. Today we're on the hunt for a Ninja coffee machine. And if you've been keeping up with the prep series, you'll know my relationship with coffee, the black coffee, my barista shop, and this is the upgrade. I'm looking for a specific one, as apparently there's 3. Obviously we want the one that's top of the range. They've got every fucking coffee machine apart from the one I want. Not looking good, Brev. So we didn't succeed on the Ninja coffee machine, so it's been an Amazon job. But because it's getting imported from Europe, it won't be here for 3 fucking weeks. Brilliant. However, we have got some stuff to take home. Tupperware, meal prep life, you know how it is. And I've been looking for an aftershave for a decent amount of time. The thing about aftershaves is everyone's got the same fucking aftershave, so I wanted one that's a little bit different. So that is the shopping trip done. We're back home now. We're just going to chill for the rest of the evening because I am pretty zonked again. But when you are in a fat loss phase, especially when you're going for a very lean condition like I am, especially when it's aggressive fat loss, you can't look at the scale weight moving from day to day because it will just tell you the wrong fucking story and it'll paint the wrong picture. Now, something that I noticed when my scale weight was holding, I knew that the scale weight drop was going to come because I was seeing more vascularity coming through. When I was checking myself, when I was brushing my teeth at night, I could see more veins coming through and my waist was tightening up. Fat loss can be going on even if the scale weight isn't playing ball. And this is something that trips people up so much. And this is where not just tracking your scale weight is the only measure for success is so important. How you look, how clothes are fitting, what the photos are saying, what your measurements are saying. All of these metrics are going to be really important to tell you how you're getting on with fat loss. And this is even more so impacted if you are taking refeed days because that can disrupt the numbers a little bit. I had a refeed day on Friday just gone, so a couple of days ago, 4,300 calories, scale weight shot up and it's come straight back down again. But that 4,300 calories, I'm telling you, it didn't even touch the sides. Yes, I was pretty satiated by the end of the day, but the next morning I was absolutely starving again and my body is just churning through calories now. My metabolism is more and more primed and I'm just so responsive and in such a responsive state right now. Yet despite taking some of these refeed days, my training performance is actually starting to dip off a little bit now. It's only really coming in the last week or so, but certainly this week just gone, training sessions have got harder. And this is where it's about trying to maintain training performance for as long as possible, but without being too stubborn, because you can get to the point where you're just trying to protect training performance and then you're refeeding too much, properly slowing fat loss down. So you have to get the right balance. The only adjustments we have made is on my leg day because legs are going to be typically the most fatiguing session. So we strip the intensifier out of my leg press and then we pull back on one set of leg extensions. So not huge changes, but I did notice going into that next session that on the leg day, I managed to actually progress my load again. So recovery isn't always from just how sore you are. It's also going to be training performance. And sometimes you can be doing too much. As you get leaner, as you get further into a cut, especially when you're on an aggressive cut, you have got to consider that your output won't be the same as it was when you're peak bulk or anything like that. And even just dropping body weight, weight moves weight at the end of the day, so be sensible with it. But we're roughly 4 weeks out from the photo shoot now, so we've got around 3 real weeks of fat loss left before we're going to be getting into the peak week. And of course, we'll be showing you guys every step of the way. So if you're not already subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can follow and see how all this finishes. But the plan of action from here till the shoot, okay, I'm in decent condition at the minute, but I want to get more. I want to push for more. So we're going to carry on pushing fat loss. No refeed days. We're doing refeed days every 10 days instead of every 7. So there's a couple of more days where we're not having that refeed just to get that little bit more flat, to get a bit more condition out of me. But we're going to carry on pushing this until I start to see the look actually getting worse. And there will become a bit of a tipping point where you do just look really flat, really stringy. We're going to find that and then we're going to start to reverse out from there into the shoot. This means that I should build that baseline level of food up day by day going into the shoot. So we're not going into it really flat and having to do too much work with a big refeed. And this is always going to be the preferable method to do it. The analogy I always use is imagine landing a plane. You don't want a really hard descent because it's going to be a bumpy landing. It isn't going to be smooth. You want to get ready early and you want a nice smooth descent into that shoot whereby we can pull down my steps, pull down my cardio, let my body recover, have more baseline level of food, and we'll still do a bit of a refeed going into it anyway. And the reason that we can do this so successfully is because we've roadmapped every step between when I started my shoot prep, where I wanted to be at what point, and going into the shoot. And this is what I do with every single one of my clients. No one is ever working without a lack of clarity, because if you know what you're doing, you know what boxes need to tick, we can make sure people are measured and that they're on track. So to follow along with the prep series and to see plenty more coaching content which we've got coming to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching.